Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel L. Connon. Welcome to Premarket Info.
On today's show, we're going to talk about this big battle between Apple and Samsung. It appears Apple is victorious right now. Apple rallying to a new 52-week high on the Friday night decision. Google falling on that decision, and Microsoft and Nokia and RIMM are rallying. So lots of talk about their Tiffany earnings this morning. And Dollar Thrifty finally gets bought by Hertz. We've been talking about this one. This has been talked about for the last year, I think. And Dollar Thrifty is finally acquired by Hertz. And there's lots of double and triple bottoms in the S&P to talk about. What's happening this morning, Joel?
Well, you failed to mention that college football season starts this week, too, this upcoming weekend. So that's very, very important. But to the markets, that much anticipated case between Samsung and Apple has been resolved to Apple's favor. Stock is up 20 points. It is above. I thought I went up to 680 on my numbers. That was my highest number.
Get some new numbers up there. Get some numbers up there. Make sure you put that 700 number up there.
That's it. That's the only thing that's there. You're so right. I'm glad I didn't take the other side of your bet. I'm looking at 683.10 high in the pre-market right now. That's right, all we have. A recent low, little sell-off, 679. So if you're trying to protect profits, that would be a level. But, boy, this thing is just flying. I just don't see how you trade it early in the session.
You got to see how it's going to respond when the market actually opens. There's a lot of people that might say, okay, they get $1 billion potentially. Samsung's going to appeal, first of all. The second thing, obviously, is that they might pull some Samsung phones off the market. That's what's hitting Google this morning. Obviously, Samsung, your big Android phone maker there. So Google is down on this news, trading down $11. Those Google Apple pair traders there, if they had it on the right way, they're doing well. But if they had it on the wrong way, they're under some water here this morning. Google is now again below Apple's share price. 667 is where Google is this morning, Joel.
We talked about the Google a few times last week and how it was coming in that 675 area has halted rallies on the last few occasions here. It got up to the 670 level back in January, had a little nosedive. Also, you got up to that level. Well, the 697 was actually the high in July of 2008, but 675 been a critical area. Now this news comes out, knocks it down a little bit. I'll just look at the pre-market activity there. You did get a spike low at 666. Keep an eye on 666 there. That's been the pre-market low. A lot of room underneath that in Google. Next level after that would be 662.17, which was the which was the low on last Tuesday.
And you've got some other possible beneficiaries from this. They're saying that Microsoft could be a beneficiary here from this Apple-Google ruling. Obviously, if some Android phones come off, some of the other phone makers here too, like Research in Motion, Nokia, might benefit here as well. But you've got Microsoft trading right at this critical 31 resistance level. It looks like it's going to open right into resistance here.
Oh, yeah, that's been a level we've been talking about for a long time. Microsoft has severely lagged this market on this entire rally. Now you're coming up to this $31 level. $30.96 was the high from last week. You go back a few weeks before that and you see that 31.05 high. That was the earnings day when it actually traded up to 31.50 in the pre-market, opened up at 31.05 and came straight down. Even more numbers there, 31.14 back in June here. You just got to see that. I'm sure there'll be a few sellers there stacked at the $31 level. But this might be the day for Microsoft.
Well, that's going to open into resistance, so just look at how it opens. If it opens and starts taking out the 31, starts rallying right away, then all bets are off. But if that resistance holds and this thing starts to find sellers off the hop after the 9:30 open, then you might have a trade from the short side. So that's your key swing number. We're going to keep reiterating that is 31. It's trading 30.90 right now, been as high. Is that the high in the pre-market, Joel? 31? I think it is. Has it
I don't think it's been able to sneak above 31
31?
here.
Yeah, I've got a
Yeah,
31 even
31
print.
on the kisser.
31 on the kisser, so it looks like that's what's holding the pre-market too. Let's look at a couple of these other quick ones. Nokia trading up over 10% here this morning on this. Seems overdone to me, but $3.42 is where it's trading at right now. I mean, this stock's been on a heck of a run here. You can't argue with it. A buck 67 on July 20th. It's now 342. This thing's doubled in the last month.
Yeah, it hasn't been up anywhere near this 350 area since May. Hit 338 on May 11th. Looking at the pre-market, it seems like there's a host of sellers, perhaps at 350, getting multiple highs at 346 and 347. So keep an eye on that whole 350 level. That was actually some lows in the stock as well back in April and early May before you had a breakdown. But this is the only thing I just looking at all these stocks. Remember when Barnes and Noble got all that money from Microsoft
Yep,
and stock
yep,
was up
yep.
like 10? You could pull the chart
Yeah,
up
I'm
of that.
pulling it up, and then had the
Yeah,
huge spike up, the ridiculous spike up. Oh, Microsoft's investing in Barnes and Noble. We were skeptical. We were right on that one because we were like, "Man, sold to you on this." I wish I would have been just selling the farm on that thing because it went down. Obviously, the last 4 months now it's at $11. That
yeah.
spiked up that high, $26 on that news.
I think it even went higher in
That's
the pre-market.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Sometimes you just gotta fade some of these headlines. Not saying you should fade this one today, but I definitely wouldn't be buying, some of these ones that are rallying off this. Even look Research in Motion here. I mean, how many times the Research in Motion rally only to be met with more sellers? It seems like every time this thing goes for a rally, it's met with more sellers. I mean, is really Research in Motion? Okay, yeah, maybe they sell a few more phones if Samsung comes off the market, but or if some Samsung phones come off the market, it's not even all of them. So I just can't get that excited about Research in Motion or any of its other beneficiaries here.
Research in Motion hit 746 not too long ago in the pre-market. It's kind of just vacillating at that level here. Had a series of highs in that area, 754 to 760. That will be your major resistance. After that, you might get a little run up to the $8 level, but look for resistance at 760.
You've got one merger here for you. Dollar Thrifty DTG. Finally, I mean, we have talked about this one on. This has been rumored in the news for the last year that Hertz is going to buy Dollar Thrifty. Finally, looks like they got the deal done. $87.50 cash for Dollar Thrifty. But here's an interesting one. You've got Hertz itself trading up more than Dollar Thrifty, and Hertz is the acquirer. $14.97 is where Hertz trading at on 660,000 shares.
They looked this deal to be accretive, I guess, right away, right off the hop. You did get a spike up to 15.28. Things have kind of settled down a little bit. Some decent volumes associated with that. Looking at the charts, you haven't been up in this 15.50 area since May of this year. Looking at the pre-market activity, keep an eye on that high of 15.31 all the way up to resistance, all the way up to 15.50.
Do have another merger just being announced. HCBK going to be bought by MTB. It's worth about $7.44 a share, but it looks like a stock deal here. 0.08403 shares of MTB for every share of HCBK. So you pair traders out there, if you like those merger arb plays, here's one for you just getting to the wire this morning.
When's the last time we had a merger in the banking
Been a
sector?
while, been a while. Now this isn't a huge one, obviously, but obviously good for HCBK shareholders here, and it's nice to see at least some action, in some mergers. We're starting to see some merger Mondays. Like we were there in the lull for the last year and a half, but it seems like every Monday we come in now and there's a merger or two. So you're starting to see. Remember years ago, you'd get like 4 or 5 major merges on the merger Monday, and they were calling it Merger Monday, and you just don't see that much anymore.
No, Nope, you think you would with interest rates, this low, be able to finance these deals. But you think there's any other stocks related to that HCBK that might get a pop?
Hard to say. I mean, you can look at some of your smaller banks, and you can, but really, the banking sector is so. I don't think you're going to start all of a sudden seeing all these big banks acquiring the smaller ones. They're still all trying to get. You got the Dodd-Frank stuff still coming next
Yep.
year. It's just really tough to start spending money on acquiring different banks when you don't really know even where the regulation's going. So, I mean, you may see some small sympathy moves in some of the banks here this morning, but really overall, it's really tough to say. But MTB, where's it trading here? It's trading just slightly down on this. Obviously, HCBK is going to trade off the MTB price now, so that's the one you want to watch. Maybe Joel can give us a quick technical on the MTB.
Yeah, this stock has been quiet for
Really,
quite a
really
while
quiet.
here. Actually, it's held up pretty well. It's hit 88 just a short period ago, and now it's pulled back. This $85 level looks extremely interesting. You've had two bottoms at 85.09 and 85.38. Then a lot of air underneath that to under 84. So if they really don't like this deal, I see them to take it down to 85 today, and you got a little bit of air beneath that.
Tiffany's reported earnings, and it is tough to figure out these headlines. If you're trying to trade headlines, it's tough to figure out because this stock came out 72 cents against 73 estimates, so a slight miss. It appeared that they lowered guidance 355 to 370. I guess that's kind of, and the estimates were 364, so kind of about the same. The stock actually traded down on the initial report. I think it got as low as 57.77. Is that what you have, Joel?
Very good. Yep. Yep.
57.77, and then it just turned around and started rallying. And I don't know if they said something in the conference call or what happened, but it's up at 62.31 now. So you think they missed and you think it's going to get slaughtered. This stock is rallying here this morning and taking off and making a new high on the move.
Yeah, 63.40 has been the high in the pre-market. Did that not too long ago. This stock has had a heck of a sell-off since being over $74 not long ago. I'm looking at the resistance levels in this. You did have some consolidation at the 64 area. You had a 63.85 high on May 12th, but you got a ways to go before you get that. As we've mentioned before, a lot of times on the pre-market, levels are touched that are not touched again. So keep an eye on 63.40. Coming back on the downside, you've had a break down to 61.73. You break below that level, and there's a lot of air in this
It's
stock.
tricky to short these ones though on the earnings because I've
Hmm.
seen stocks like Tiffany move 10 or 12% off an earnings report, and when you're going up, it's only up $4. It's only up about 7 or 8%. Wouldn't shock me if the thing continued to run. Wouldn't shock me if it sold off either. I'm sitting on my hands on this one. Maybe you can look at it at the open and see if they come in with their buying shoes on or their selling shoes on. It's always a pretty good indicator when you get the real liquidity and the real players coming in at 9:30. And if they start to sell it right away, then you get a little bit of a bounce back. Then you might want to fade that bounce back. So look at that initial move in the first 5 minutes, and that's usually indicative of where it's going to head. Maybe for the remainder of the day. Lots of double bottoms and triple bottoms you were pointing out on your S&P numbers there, Joel. You pointed out one in Exxon Mobil where it had a double bottom there just from a couple days ago.
Actually, it ended up making a triple bottom there. Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays lows were all in the
Right.
$87
Wow.
vicinity. Similar to the S&Ps, you found support in that level. Took off, not much in the 87 handle to really hold it down. Now you're looking at the high close of the move, 88.67. You have the 52-week high at 88.91, and then you have the boys at 89 willing to sell a chunk. So if it gets there today, it's going to have a pretty big move. I don't see the likelihood of it busting through 89 today is as great as if you get a close up at 88.80
Yeah.
and a strong market off the open. But still big numbers, big size up there, and We'll see if they can get through it.
Just to clarify that further, when he's saying the big boys, there's been some institutional selling pressure at 89 here that we noted when the stock was back up there a week ago, and the high frequency traders basically stepping in front of them in the 88.90s. What Joel's saying is that because it closed so far from there, if it starts to move up to that area, it's probably going to run into that significant resistance once again. If it was to open up there and then, and get it right off the hop, it would have all day to take that out, but basically it might struggle if it gets back up to that 89 area. So what we're really citing is this pretty good high frequency resistance in the 88.90s, and it may be a sell, at least in the short term, if it gets up to that level. General Electric was another one that actually did a reversal on us here. We thought the stock was starting to break down, and then all of a sudden just came with the buying shoes on Friday, and it's moving up. Is it going to get back up to that whole 2110 resistance area?
Yeah, 2119 has been the 52-week high, getting a little boost here in the pre-market. Not a lot. I'm sure there's some stock just hanging out there at the 2102, 2105 level, the 4 and 5 day highs. So, it's only up 13 cents in the pre-market. If you want to try and buy this thing, maybe throw some bids out around the close, 2081, 28, 2080 was the actual close. Maybe you get a quick little downdraft off the open and be able to get this in on the cheap. Back to the oil stocks, Chevron Corporation here, last couple days been running into trouble here in the 112 area. Three highs, 112.35, 112.17, and 112.20. Has not been able to eclipse that level in the pre-market. So they look for CVS for a possible breakout through that area and back up to 113.
AT&T had a triple bottom that you pointed out there too. Actually, you pointed out a double bottom on Friday early morning, and I actually bought it off. You see, you'd said that if it opens that area, it's probably going to find support. I did buy that open there, Joel, just on yours, so thanks for that. But problem is, I'm such a scalper, and I sold out way too soon, as I did not think this thing could have a 50-cent run, and it really took off. So it opened at the low. This whole 36.45 has been huge, but it just kept running all day Friday.
Yeah, AT&T, I mean, it's not one of your sexier stocks, but it's something that, if you catch it at the right day off the open, you can trade it with a little bit of size and have protection. What we had that set up there on Friday was that double bottom there, which also coincided with a low back in July. What you had a potential there, and I think I talked to you about this, is, hey, it's a low-risk buy there. It's already stopped there twice. Low risk buy. What I meant is nickel, 5-6 cents. If it cut through there, you had an opportunity to reverse and go into this whole downdraft area, which is something you really don't like to do in a stock like AT&T because of its muted movement. But it held there nicely back up in the 37 handle. The only thing I'd like to report to our traders, Monday's high and Friday's high were matching at 37.04. After that, you got a little bump up to a triple top back in the 37.30 area. So see if this thing can get through 37.04 today.
Well, let's look one more time at the overall market here, because we again have bounced off on Friday. We bounced off that support area. We've been saying it. They are finding buyers in the 1390s. Every time this market's down in the 1390s, it bounces off of that area. Is this the bounce? Are we going to get some follow through here and continue on our march higher here?
We're just going from the opening bell. That Apple news was out there Sunday night when we opened. So we've opened up, just a nickel above or a quarter above the close and sold off. Already through Friday's high smartly 14.12. So that will be your support level. Only have two resistance numbers for you. 14.18 was Thursday's high. Still a few points away from that. Above that area, you're looking at the high of the move at 14.24.75. So last time we came up and traded to this area, it was slow and grinding, but it got up there. So back above 1400 once again.
That's our show for today. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Have a good trading day.